Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's session of Seek, Innovate, Create. It's an initiative by Startup India where you get an opportunity to talk and ask questions to industry stalwarts like one sitting next to me. So, without much ado, I would like to introduce you all to our today's esteemed guests, who will be taking up a session. Who will be taking up a session and answering questions on the title "Breaking the Barriers: Startup to Scale Up" with Mr. Sanjeev Bikchandani. I've got Sir next to me sitting here. He's been in the picture since the past 25, 30 years. He is the co-founder and CEO of InfoEdge, also commonly known as Nokia.com. Now, I would like to leave the floor to Sir, and I would like to know from you, Sir, as in what questions are you expecting from the entrepreneurs and startups today, and how excited you are for this session today.
First of all, thank you so much for inviting me here. Shaurya, nice to talk to you. Startup India, Invest India. One clarification, I'm not the CEO of the company anymore. I am now vice chairman. The CEO is Mr. Hitesh Oberoi, and I stepped aside as CEO in 2010. Uh, Look, I'm here and I'm expecting questions and I'm expecting to discuss areas around opportunity identification, building product market fit, getting your first customers, raising some money if required, managing cash flows, scaling up the organization, building a team, how do you build a moat and barriers to entry, building a business model, eventually scaling up and possibly going public. So a whole range of areas we can discuss, depending on what people want to discuss. I'm happy to answer any question that I can answer.
We are really excited for all that. So before we move on, I would like to thank everyone who have sent us questions and the suggestions, and we've tried to incorporate all the questions, all the plethora of questions, all the repository that we have of all your questions into a questionnaire. We'll be asking those questions to Sir, and we hope that we answer all your questions. And then post that, we'll be having a quick rapid fire wherein you guys can take up your questions, your pens and papers, and your laptops to take up notes as in what Sir has to offer. And in the end, we'll open the floor for questions, two questions that we'll take up from the chat box, and just pray that your question gets picked up. All right. So moving on to our first question, Sir. It's quite an interesting question that we have. Can you share your personal journey from starting InfoEdge to growing it into a successful startup, and what were the key milestones along that way?
First of all, clarify, InfoEdge has existed since 1990. Naukri has existed since 1997. For the first 7 years, we drifted and did a whole bunch of small things. I was pottering around, I was drifting. I was somehow trying to make both ends meet and figuring things out. So 7 years of drift, then we got Naukri, and then we became an internet company. So our first product or our first customer offering was a salary survey. It was a salary survey of what companies were offering fresh MBAs and fresh engineers on IIM and IIT campuses and at entry level. And I got this idea when I observed the companies during my graduation year who had come to IIM Ahmedabad, and I observed how they competed for talent. And I figured that if somebody would do a salary survey, it would sell. Right? So by observing the prospective customer, I got an insight that this product will work. It will sell, people will buy it. Our second product was a trademark search service. So my then business partner, Kapil Verma, he had worked as a summer intern in his uncle's law firm, where he observed and he got an insight that the process of registering a trademark took 5 years. And companies wanted to launch a new brand in 2 years. So to reduce the risk of a trademark application being rejected, companies would hire lawyers to assess whether or not a trademark would get registered or was registrable in the future. So you're taking a bet. And you don't want a situation where after 3 years, you're told to change your brand name. Right? So one big reason for a trademark application to get rejected was if somebody else had registered or applied for a similar trademark or identical trademark before. So they wanted a search of all registered and pending trademark applications. And this database this record was available in the library of the trademark registry, but it was kept manually. So it was a very laborious and possibly unreliable method of doing a trademark search. So what we did was we simply transcribed the trademark registry record uh, and took it out and digitized it and were offering computerized searches. Right. Once again, we were able to succeed because companies had got a customer insight because we worked in the law firm. A customer insight that the manual trademark search service was unreliable. So if you can offer something better, faster, more reliable, it will work, and it worked. So both these ideas, I think the important thing is that we got customer insights of an unsolved problem, perhaps, and which led us to believe that successful businesses are built on deep customer insights. So it's really important to observe the customer, know the customer, talk to the customer. Perhaps you're an unhappy customer yourself, right? And that's when, if you solve some unsolved problem, there's a good chance that he or she will pay you money for that, and you won't have to sell very hard. Right? They'll buy on their own. Naukri was like that. In my last job, back in 1990, I had observed that when the office copy of Business India would come in, everybody would be looking back, all my colleagues. Because in those days, there were 35 to 40 pages of appointment ads at the back of Business India. And my colleagues would just read the appointment ads and pass on the magazine. They would not even read the articles very often. And that led me to believe, to understand that jobs are a very high interest category of information. So if you're able to provide people information on jobs, they will find it very useful. Right. Now this is 1990, there was no internet. So it was an insight, but I could do nothing with the insight. But 6 years later, when I saw the internet for the first time, and and at that time there were only 14,000 internet accounts in the country, over 96. The penny dropped in my head, and I said, why don't we get all the appointment ads that are printed from all over India and put them all in one place on the internet? And we did that, and we called it Naukri. We used to get 29 newspapers magazines from around the country, and we would simply, take the job information and put it in our database format, and we used to upload it to the net twice a week. We used to update it, right? And we did that, and immediately traffic began to come. Why? Because I had the insight from 7 years ago that jobs are a high interest category of information. Right? So without advertising, we had no money, we were broke. There was no venture capital then, but we still got traffic.
So basically, two key milestones were insights and how deep down you can go through.
Insights. I think customer insights about unsolved problems. That will enable you to have one. Now, one last story I'll tell you. When I met Deepinder Goyal for the first time, founder of Zomato, then called Foodie Bay. This was in 2010. And I used to use Foodie Bay, and I liked it. And Hitesh would use it, and like Hitesh was our CEO, partner. And we used to discuss. And then he said, why don't we talk to Foodie Bay in case they're looking to raise money? Right? So we reached out, and I met Deepinder for the first time. And the great thing about Foodie Bay, the differentiator was that it was the only restaurant listing site with all the menu cards. Nobody else had menu cards. And that was actually the feature I found the most useful. Because you could search for restaurants, check out the menu card, check out what dishes, check out the prices, and then decide whether or not to go there. Useful information. So I asked Deepinder, and I met him, I did ask Deepinder, how do you get this idea? And he gave me a story. He said that he was working in Bain Consulting in Gurgaon after IIT. Now, Bain was maybe 55 people working there, mostly young, mostly single, mostly males, many living away from home. What it meant was they would not get lunch from home. Okay. Office hours were long, and you invariably ended up eating 2 meals in the office, lunch and dinner. And there was a cafeteria in the office, but it would not serve lunch. To make life easy, but you could bring your own food and eat. To make life easy for the employees, the admin team had collated the delivery menu cards of all the restaurants that could deliver to that location, maybe about 70 or 80 of them, and put them in a file or 2 files in the cafeteria. And Deepinder said, at 1 o'clock every day, I go to the cafeteria and there's a long line to access the files, and I get it for 30 seconds. I have to decide, I'm hungry, I'm missing deadlines, I'm tense about my work, right? I have 30 seconds to look at the file, I decide quickly, I phone up, I place the order, and I go back to my desk. And when the food comes, I come and pay for it. And then I eat. It's hugely inconvenient. So one weekend I came to office and I scanned all these menu cards and I put them on my personal page on the office internet. And within 3 days, the IT infra guy came to me and said, "What have you done? Why is 95% of internal traffic going to your homepage?" Right? So penny dropped. I realized that aggregation of menu cards has value. Just as I realized 10 or 15 years ago that aggregation of jobs has got value. Right? So simple insight, but a big business idea in both cases, Naukri and Zomato. So I think it's really important to focus on the customer and focus on get insights, figure out unsolved problems, and try and solve them.
All right. So going deep inside a problem, finding and solving problems, and also how to get out insights from them really help you. All right. Very wonderful, sir. Moving on to the next question that we have. What advice do you have for the entrepreneurs looking to break through the barriers and take their startups to the next level?
But the first thing is know your customer. I already said that. The second is build a great team. Okay? The truth is you can't do everything yourself. The third is you've got to be the kind of person who can create trust across the table. With your colleagues, with your co-founders, with your customers, with your investors, with whoever you deal with. Because I think an entrepreneur's biggest quality is he or she is able to create trust across the table. People don't like to do business with people who don't trust. So customers will not buy from you if you don't trust them. People will not work with you. People will not join a company if they don't trust you. As simple as that. So now, to build trust, now this is something that is already there in you, right? You have to be an honest person. You have to be forthright. You have to be sincere. You have to think of the other guy first. You've got to understand that it's not just about you. It's also about making the other guy win. Right? And that's when it's for keeping commitments. Right? And that's how you build trust across the team.
Wonderful, sir. I think all of them have noted down the points that you
Well, one more
mentioned.
point I'd like to make is that an entrepreneur, a founder, should go out and meet customers and make sales calls himself or herself. That's really important. But when you make a sales call, the customer gives you feedback. When you make a sales call, your salesperson whom you're going with, the sales call, gets confidence. The boss is coming with you.
Get more insights.
Right? When you make a sales call, you get feedback from your customer and you improve your product. Right? So don't just be a product or a tech guy sitting in the office building stuff. Make sales calls.
So moving on to the next question that a lot of people asked us. There was a recurring question I remember from the question that we received, as in what are the challenges that you have received while building up Naukri? Because there are founders who are on the other end of this camera as well, who have faced something similar in their entrepreneurial journey, and they're trying to find out some relatable sort of aspect there. As in, what were the 2 or 3 challenges that you faced while building Naukri? As in, on that.
When we launched Naukri, there were only 14,000 internet accounts in the country. 14,000 with shared account using maybe 2 lakh log, maybe 1 lakh log. Now, I didn't know it, but it was a small market. मेरे को लगता बड़ा market है. I said 1 lakh log, 2 lakh काफी. The truth is, it was a small market. So I think the market size was small when we launched. And therefore, we necessarily would not sell more than a certain amount every month, every year. Revenue would be low. Right? What it meant was, and there was no venture capital, and I had no personal money. What it meant was, such a company, be frugal. And we did that. I didn't take a salary. In the first 10 years of being an entrepreneur, for roughly 6 years, I did not take a salary. Right? I would teach on weekends at business schools around Delhi. As visiting faculty to somehow make some pocket money. So पहला था पैसे नहीं थे. पहला था मार्केट छोटा है, दूसरा था पैसे नहीं थे, नहीं वेंचर कैपिटल था. Therefore, infrastructure was poor. For the first 6 months of launching Naukri, we did not even have an internet connection. I used to go to a friend's house to access the internet, although we run a website. Company वाला internet नहीं था, right? फिर internet दिया हमने, फिर बिजली नहीं आती थी. Massive power cuts in those days in Delhi. Right? जब आती थी वोल्टेज 160 था. Right? So you were struggling, but we somehow managed. I think it was about being frugal. It's about somehow managing. It's about working in a small market, so keeping costs low. That you can now we have to break even to survive, right? Because there was no external funding, right? So it's not all those things. That was what the first 3-4 years gave to us. So we venture capital raised in the year 2000, but within 2 weeks the market melted down. The dot-com bubble burst. Okay, and so we were in trouble again. Okay. So our first troubles were essentially small market, lack of capital, right? Poor infrastructure.
A follow-up question on that only, sir. Post the challenges came, what was that one guiding spirit? What was that one inspiration factor in you that get the team going? And what was the whole inspiration factor that you had?
Yeah, inspiration. It was more stubbornness. It was more perhaps lack of knowledge that we were acting in a small market then, right? So what we didn't know didn't hurt us. And then life went on and market grew and right place, right time, worked hard, worked smart, got lucky. Things happened.
All right. In that whole process, I'll move on to the next question as well. What is that one advice that you'll have to give to startups transitioning to newer markets with more importance on leadership and team building? As in, what is the importance of leadership and team building and making your own team in the whole process?
See, I'll come back to the point about trust. If you're the kind of person who can create trust across the table, chances are that you will be able to attract some people who are willing to work for you and with you. Now, your true test will come when you don't have money, or you're running out of money, and still you are trying to attract people to work with you. So as an entrepreneur, one of your biggest requirements is that you personally have to be a magnet for talent. That people have to want to work with you. People have to believe in you. People have to believe in what you're trying to build. Right? Now, if you're able to do that, you'll be able to build a good team. The truth is you can't do it without a good team. So you need that good team. So a lot of it is about your personal qualities.
A few points more on leadership, as in how does it play a catalyst in the whole team building spirit? And how entrepreneurs sitting here who are building their businesses, building their ideas, how they can ignite that leadership spirit in them, even if they do not have a team, but they aspire to build a team one day.
So hopefully you're pursuing an idea and a dream that really motivates you. Right? If it motivates you, you'll be passionate about it. If you're passionate about it, right, you'll work hard at it, you become good at it. And if you are passionate and good at what you're doing, then chances are you'll be able to communicate that passion and energy to others and galvanize them. And that's how leadership will work over
Something around that only, sir. I would like to also ask you, for For example, while you are building your businesses, discussing, brainstorming your ideas, there is a point when we have to realize, as in these are two domains, for example, this I can do better and this is the other person can do better. What is the importance here, if this is relevant or not? And if yes, then how? And how you've also sort of inculcated that?
So there are two, three things. One is I can do better, but I don't have the time. So I'm doing five other things. Right? Other is we can do better. Accept that. That you're not the you are not the smartest guy in the world at everything. Right? So if you have good reality check, if you have good talented people with you, if you're humble enough to accept that that guy may be better than me at this thing. Right? Let me harness that power. Let me harness his talent. Right? Then hopefully you'll move ahead. So I think some humility is required, some reality check is required, coupled with the ability to attract talent. The other thing about talent management is empowerment. Right? You've got to be able to delegate. You've got to be able to give space and independence. Very importantly, you have to be able and willing to give the credit publicly and privately to others. And if you do that, people will feel happy working with you. And they stay.
I think we have had enough points discussed around leadership, team building, and how it's important to delegate work as well, as Sir just mentioned. So we'll quickly sort of shift our basis from leadership to funding that you also mentioned. A quick question around that. Scaling a startup often involves secure funding, as I mentioned. Can you tell us about your experience raising capital for Naukri, obviously in the later stages, and any advice you have for aspiring entrepreneurs in this regard who are watching us live right now?
So what I tell people two things. First thing I say is that the customer's money is better than the investor's money. Right? Because if you're getting the customer's money and you're getting it repeatedly from the same customer, right? And you're getting it at a price that's higher than your cost, then chances are you have product market fit and you've got viable economics and you're running a potentially viable business as long as you can get enough customers. And if you're getting the customer's money on these terms, the investor's money will come. Right? Because investors love to invest behind in companies and entrepreneurs who are getting the customer's money. आपको पैसों में किसी भागने नहीं पड़ेगा, इन्वेस्टर किसी भागने नहीं पड़ेगा. But if you get the investor's money first, there is no guarantee that the customer's money will follow. Right? Because getting the investor's money first very often implies that your PowerPoint is working, you're a good salesman, you've got some big brand education and employment pedigree behind you. People will look at all those things and they might give you money the first time. You might give you money the second time. But that doesn't mean the customer gives you money. It does not mean you have a viable business. The third time, the investor will not give you the money if you have not got customer money. Right? And therefore, I would say focus on the customer's money. The second thing I say is it's always better to raise money when the investor comes to you saying, may I invest in your company? As opposed to you going out and saying, please invest in my company. Get the right valuation, get the right terms of trade, the deal gets done faster. And therefore, I say focus on the customer and getting the customer money.
All right, so any stories you have while raising funds all across these years? You anecdotes, anything you have to mention about some entrepreneur reaching out to you that sort of give you one learning as well that you remember right now? Anything of that sort of want to share?
So one of the things I say is that when we raised money the first time, it was in April 2000. That we got the money, we were trying to raise it 2-3 months earlier. But you see what happened, that was bubble investment, right? The market was booming. Right? What happened then was, I didn't hire an investment banker, I didn't hire a lawyer. I felt I was foolishly overconfident. I felt I could do it on my own and save some money. Right? So I went to 4 investors. We got 3 term sheets. That's the power of a bubble. That's the power of a booming market. The 4th person did not give a term sheet. Right? So I made a pitch And he said, listen, you're a great salesman. You tell a compelling story in a compelling manner. However, I will not invest. So I said, why not? I want feedback. He said, look, what is the size of the appointment ad market in the print media? On the newspapers. How much do you think they make? I put a guess, maybe 450 crores. Okay. What is the difference in price of an ad on Naukri versus an ad in a leading newspaper? I said 1 is to 100, 1 is to 1,000. So he says that then if you succeed in converting all print appointment ads to Naukri, you will shrink the market from 450 crores to 45 lakhs. So your maximum sales potential is 45 lakhs. And therefore, you are condemned to be a small business. And therefore, I'll not invest in you. And I said, okay, I won't argue with you. That's your call, but that's what he thought. Then Naukri is a couple of thousand crores. So obviously, different people have different perspectives. The other thing I want to make is that it's useful to undercommit and overdeliver. So the business plan that we had written when we went out and raised our first round, we were doing 3 lakhs a month of sales when we went out to raise money. That's 36 lakhs a year. We had put projections there that saying 4 years out, we will do 1 crore a month.
And this is all in 2000 early 2000.
This is Jan Feb 2000. Right? That we will do 1 crore a month 4 years from now, so 12 crores a year. That will be our sales. Right? So the investor told us, ICICI Ventures, hey, listen, at 12 crores I can't give this valuation. I said, look, I've already got a term sheet at that valuation, so this is the valuation. So why don't you increase the projections? I said, no, I don't want to because these are projections I believe. So anyway, they gave us the offer, but we had given low projections. I mean, we had given those projections of 1 crore a month. Now, the truth is, when new markets are being formed, when industries are changing, the market and the customer are surprising. So 4 years out, we did 84 crores, not 12 crores. We were wrong by 7x. We ourselves are underestimated. Right? But in those 4 years, through the meltdown, when investors are very, very troubled, right? We always smelt of roses when ICICI did the audit because we had given such low projections, we always exceeded them.
Wonderful story, sir. Moving on, I would also now try to shift your focus more on the competition front as well. That you mentioned that all of this happened in early 2000s, 2001s. And I assume at that time, internet was just trying to come up and opportunities are also just trying to build over internet and how things would scale up. You also never knew. So how competition in this sort of, how was competition back then? One. And second, how was international sort of knowledge and ecosystem learning there as well affected and impacted your sort of building of the business at Naukri?
So the great thing about being very early mover is that there's no competition. No matter how imperfect you are still number one and the best. Because we were terribly imperfect, but we're the only one. So for the first 3 years, 97 to 2000, there was no competition. We also didn't have money and venture capital. So we were pottering around doing in a small scale, cottage sector industry. But we were number one because there was nobody else. Right? We did venture capital and competition came in almost immediately. And the market melted down also immediately. So there was lots of competition suddenly, but there was a crisis in the market that people couldn't raise further capital. And the market was still small. Revenue stream was still small. We were lucky that our cost structures were low, we were frugal. As a consequence, with very little money, we went through the meltdown and came out on the other side profitable. We were also lucky that, after bootstrapping for 10 years, and not for 3 years of Naukri, but 7 years before that, we knew the value of money. And so we were, frugality was in our DNA. And therefore, we were able to come through it. Competition consolidated. And eventually withered away. But it took about 7 years. Now there's new competition. From sites like LinkedIn. Right? And we are competing. But the way to compete, I think, is continuous innovation. Keep on improving your product. Keep on talking to your customers, getting feedback. The best ideas come from customers. So when we raised money, prior to that, we were sending a direct mail. We would send brochures by mail and clients would send orders. We raised money, and as an experiment, we hired a few salespeople to go out in the market. So direct तो कर रहे हैं, but sales के लोग भी जा रहे हैं. Now we discovered something quite nice. We discovered that within 3 to 4 months' time, the average salesperson was generating 50,000 rupees a month of sales and collections, because we collect money 100% once. And this number was hit north every month. Right? It would go up. And the total cost of the salesperson, salary, commission, conveyance, depreciation on computer, rent, air conditioning, some all overheads, was 22,000 rupees a month. Okay? There was no variable cost. It doesn't cost you any extra money to put one extra job on Naukri. So in other words, the salesperson was making a 28,000 rupee profit on his or her own cost. It could go towards defraying central overheads. And this number was headed north every month. Now we had discovered what we now call our repeatable profitable unit. So any company to scale profitably must discover its repeatable profitable unit. What is it? It could be a hamburger, it could be an outlet, it could be a salesperson, it could be anything. But what is your repeatable profitable unit that you want to focus on and keep on repeating it? That's how you will scale, and that's how you make a profit. Right? We have discovered, quite by accident, our repeatable profitable unit. And we said, this is pretty cool. Let's just hire more and more salespeople. And within 2 years, we had 241 salespeople in 11 cities around the country. And we were breaking even and making a profit, and our sales have gone up 35 times over the last 2 years, simply through this method. Okay? So we scaled up in that fashion first. That's how we scaled up. Right? Along the way, we innovated, and we kept on adding new products. But there was one growth hack that we did, which was very useful. So 240 salespeople around the country. उस ज़माने में WhatsApp नहीं था. We started Yahoo groups. Those Yahoo groups. You may have not remember. Right? How old are you?
I am 2.5 years old.
Okay, so I think Yahoo बंद हो गया ना. Yahoo group बंद हो गया. Yahoo नहीं बंद हुआ. Yahoo group बंद हो गए थे. Not when you were born, but when you were 11, 12 years old. Right? Since after WhatsApp came. Right? So Yahoo groups, email group, and we just told every उस group में सारे sales के लोग थे. मैं था head of product, head of technology, all engineers, marketing, Desh, CEO, सब. Okay, and we gave a simple instruction that when you go on a sales call, typically you do 2, 3, 4 sales calls a day. Just put out bullet points of what your customer told you in that sales meeting. This is good, this is bad, why do you improve this? Don't be feedback. Express, अच्छे CV आते हैं नहीं आते हैं. So every day feedback would come from around the country. We had harnessed through our sales team and this little growth hack, the voice of the customer, the voice of the client. And for the next 3 years or 4 years, our entire product innovation pipeline was led by ideas that customers gave to us coming on the Yahoo group. So we were no longer operating on our imagination. We were operating on daily customer feedback. Right? So we were staying in touch with the customer. Hitesh and I would make sales calls ourselves. I remember the 9/11 one, right? We had 16 months of money left, no hope of next round of money. Our salary bill was 4 times our revenue monthly. We were in danger of going under, serious danger. In October 2001, Hitesh made 85 sales calls, I made 65 sales calls. We were leading from the front, going out and making sales calls. And that's how we scaled.
All right. So in the past 5 minutes, you've already transitioned to my next question, which was around this only. Would like to quickly structure as in how ever-changing market dynamics with internet coming to picture, more and more competition coming to picture. I know you completely answered that question as well, but would like to quickly structure because it was a very common question, as in how you deal with more competition, with ever-changing market dynamics, with competition rising.
Innovation, staying close to the customer, good execution, and building customer trust.
All right. Okay, just lands me on to the next question. As in, what are some common mistakes that you've seen entrepreneurs make when they're trying to scale up their startups, and how you feel that you can avoid them as well?
I think a lot of tech entrepreneurs today are product tech guys. They're not sales guys. And the sales job is hard. It's you got to pound the pavements. You've got to go and meet customers. Customers always right. You can talk to movies, you can listen. You got to wait at reception. Won't let you in. मुझे याद है, नोएडा में office था. There was a big multinational corporation in Gurgaon. We've been trying very hard to get those clients. Finally, we got an appointment. So the sales guy came to me, said, "Sir, will you come with me? You will not get a second chance in this company. I want to do my best. How do you come with me?" Okay, you have to support your sales people. I'll come with you. So Noida से Gurgaon है, 1.5 घंटा commute. We landed up and we learned that that guy has sorted out the meeting, left for home. He was not feeling well. So when we were there, so phone किया. Oh, I'm so sorry, I forgot. अच्छा, my colleague is there in the meeting. So colleague को try किया. Colleague said, "I'm busy." He kept delegating. Eventually, I had to make a pitch to a summer training. It kept being delegated to a summer training, standing in a little meeting room at a user store. Well, I knew it was useless meeting. They were just doing it to humor me because I come from Noida and I'm the founder and CEO. They were feeling embarrassed. And my sales guy was mortified. He says, what have I done? I made a mistake. So I said, "Don't worry, these things happen. It's a part of life. It's part of making sales. So you've got to make sales calls yourself."
Okay, fine. So moving on to our next question. How important do you feel is networking, building relationships important in this whole course of life of being an entrepreneur? And also, what tips you have for entrepreneurs to sort of establish valuable connections, network, go around more, might as well become more better salespersons, whatever you have?
So look, I think it's useful and important, but don't force it. Join industry association, industry bodies, go for some of the events. You will naturally meet people. Don't get tense about it. It's okay.
All right. Fine, sir. Quick wrapping up question. As in looking ahead, what do you see as the most significant opportunities and challenges for startups in the current business landscape in India, with India evolving, internet moving up? What do you see as the current landscape?
I think growth opportunities are everywhere in India, both in tech and non-tech, both in urban and rural. No matter where you look, there are business opportunities. Because that is the magic of a growing economy. That is the magic of a 1.4 billion population. That is the magic of a young demographic. Right? Now, it's up to you to figure out what is it that you want to do and what is it that you will be good at doing. And what is it that will offer you the best opportunity. Okay. Now, having said that, हर जगह opportunity है. Fintech में है, health tech में है, AI में है, deep tech में है, defense tech में है, सब जगह opportunity.
Thank you so much, sir. With this, we sort of wrap up with our questionnaire and the long questions. I sort of hope that everyone listening and viewing this sort of session would be clear as in what sir's journey was, how it was filled up with challenges, then sort of inspirations, how insights came into picture, and sort of driving himself and the company all together. Yes, please.
This is not a question you asked me,
Yes, yes.
but I want to make this point.
Mhm.
See, I am today 60 years old,
Mhm.
right? I began my career working in an organization.
Mhm.
I started my career in an ad agency called
Mhm.
Bikhchandani in 1984,
Mhm.
straight out of college. When I look back to 1984, when I see that business environment, when I see the economy then,
Mhm.
right, there's been a complete change. Now, this has not been a revolution, it's been an evolution. Okay? Most revolutions are evolutions, they take 10 years. Uh, but the important part is a lot of this change, has been driven by new industries, innovation, new companies, right? And very often these new companies are startups by first generation entrepreneurs. Existing companies, older companies have also innovated. They've also grown, they've also diversified. But you now have a situation where you have a new kind of entrepreneur. Educated, middle class entrepreneur by choice. You see, the Indian middle class parents have this huge, or had this huge quest for financial security. Now, it would be drilled into your head that you got to study hard, get to the right college, do well in the board exams, pass the right entrance exam, and pass the next exam, do IIM or IAS or CA or whatever, right? And make a career, get a good job, right? And that's how life will go. Doing a startup, getting into business was never an option unless you were from an already formed business family, right? So that has changed. You today have got tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of people aspiring to be entrepreneurs, maybe millions of people aspiring, maybe 100,000 trying, right? That's a big change. Second, if you look at the last 30 years, 40 years, and you see where the growth, the investment has gone, where the growth is coming from, where the employment growth is coming from, it has come from companies and industries that did not even exist 40 years ago, right? So the IT services industry barely existed. IT enabled services industry did not exist. The internet did not exist. Mobile telephony did not exist. Private sector airlines did not exist. Private sector banks barely existed. Private sector insurance companies did not exist. Private sector telecom companies did not exist. Company organized retail did not exist. E-commerce did not exist. Mobile phone apps did not exist. Fintech did not exist. So, and the growth and has been driven very often in industry by startups. Therefore, startups are really important. Infosys, HCL were startups in the early 80s. Today, they're giant companies. It's pretty clear to me that the giant companies of tomorrow, many of them, will be today startups. Right? And therefore, startups are really important and central to the growth of the Indian economy going forward. And I think this government must be commended for having recognized that and taken action and put startups as a very important pillar of its economic growth strategy. Right? Whether it is Startup India, Invest India, whether it is the fund of funds for startups, where I served in the committee for 2 years in the beginning, the kind of measures being taken, steps being taken, are truly commendable. So you would not be in the job you're in if this government had not recognized the importance of startups.
Yes, that's about it. All right, so moving on to briefly a fiery session that we'll call this a rapid fire session. As in, this would be a time where the entrepreneurs can pick up their pencils and note on what are the 2-3 things that you are mentioning for them to take ahead. So we'll begin with 4 questions, and then post that we'll take 2 questions from the audience, and all of this would be a rapid fire thing only. So the 4 questions will be beginning now. The first of them is you have to name 2 things that running InfoEdge or Nokia.com has taught you right now, up until now, or in the past.
I think be frugal. Second, be customer focused. Third, keep innovating. Fourth, make sales for yourself.
That's the beauty of it. We asked for 2, so we have given 4. gave us 4. So moving on to the next question, again a rapid fire one. What do you believe as the most common barriers entrepreneurs face when trying to scale up their startups? Only 2-3 barriers. What do you
And
think?
the biggest one is people.
All right.
Okay, if you are not able to get the right people, and enough of them, and you don't delegate and empower,
Okay.
you don't manage them well, you can't scale. The scaling up is about delegating to the right people and empowering.
All right. Next question, sir. What are the 2 aspects that you look for in an early stage startup before investing in them? If you want to.
So we look for evidence of natural traction.
Okay.
Basically, will the customer want to buy what this company is selling? Maybe the customer already given evidence that the customer wants this. If it's pre-launch, is there a significant differentiator, a compelling hook? Right? That's the first thing. Second is quality of team.
Again, linking back to the previous question, how important it is to build a team. Fine, sir. Last question. I would think that you will get a sort of more expansive in your answer in this question as well, but would allow that by all means. Which sector you feel will see the most growth in the next decade? What's more that?
So truthfully speaking, this is a very tough question to answer because I'd probably get it wrong. Okay, but 10 साल बाद you won't be here and I will not be here, and you're not going to tell me give you a gulp. Hey, therefore, when we invest, we don't do it top down. We do it bottom up. We keep on meeting startups. We meet 1,000 startups a quarter. We invest in some. Right? If you find something interesting and the answer is good, and it ticks a couple other boxes, we might buy it. So if you do top down and look at sectors, and say, yeah, we would never invest in Zara. We would never have said, let's look at the restaurant listing sector. Is it tiny? Or let's look at the insurance comparison sector. We never have listed because there's no sector. We met the founders. We liked what they're trying to do, what they were thinking, how they were thinking. We figured each other and we went behind them, right? The danger of doing it top down is that you make a lot of assumptions and you're already going in late. The sector's been established. That's how we invest. But therefore, I see AI and deep tech as emerging sectors that will impact all other sectors.
All right. Thank you so much, sir, for answering these 4 questions. Now we'll be moving on from the audience. Our team has picked up 2 questions that has been asked very commonly in the questionnaire also that we are about to build and in the chat box as well. First question is, sir, as in how to find mentors in your startup journey while scaling up, while building up an idea, how to find mentors and which one you feel that it is the right mentor.
Mentor is just a terminology. It's just a jargon. You want to talk to people and bounce ideas, right? And figure out what they're thinking, right? And then filter and say, is this right for me, not right for me? The filter has to be yours. A mentor will give you bad advice. A mentor will give you good advice. You don't know. You may get some really good ideas from people who are younger to you, junior you. You never have got their mentoring. It's just a question of getting into conversations with smart people, right? I, for example, have never had a role model in my life. But I have learned from 50 people, 100 people. So if I have to say who's the role model, I say nobody. But who have I learned from? Maybe 5,000 people. The key is to keep talking to people and learning, and don't look for mentors. Just look for, I have learned from people I've never met. By simply reading what they have to say. And maybe I met somebody once and he was talking to somebody else and I overheard. I've learned. For example, Mr. Rahul Bajaj. So when I was working in Lintas in the first job, one of our clients was Bajaj Auto. Now, I used to tag along with my boss and his boss to go into meetings with the client. And a few of those meetings were also attended by Rahul Bajaj. Right? He didn't know me. I was 21 years old, 22 years old. But I used to listen. My job was take notes and write the minutes of the meeting. Right? But he made one remark. We are a zero-debt company. I don't believe in debt. Debt is cancer. Till date, Bajaj Auto is a zero debt company. Right? Info Edge is a zero debt company. Now, can I call him my mentor? He doesn't even know that. He's passed away now, but he probably didn't realize that something he said, I just said back to me. So, maybe the mentor, maybe not.
Very interesting take on that, sir. But yeah, we understood, as in the audience would have also understood what is how you have to choose your mentor, whom to call, and it's only you who know.
And the mentor could be, and I mean, it could be a eureka moment for 30 seconds, and you never meet the person again.
Yes.
And he doesn't even know he's mentoring.
You've created the definition of mentor here. Thank you so much for that. Now, moving on to the next question that we got from the chat was where to get ideas for businesses from. So, what the ideology behind this question is very simple. There would be people who have an idea and want to sort of scale up a business, might as well go ahead for a startup. But also, there are cohorts of people who just want to get something started, just want to work on something. How to get business ideas? I think that the people are looking for an answer.
There's no hard and fast rule. There's no one method, one. So I'll tell you what happened to me. I drifted for 7 years. Every idea I was doing looked good at that point in time. But they were all small ideas. And I was quite happy running a small company. I didn't want to build a company. That's a push. Right? Naukri happened quite by chance. But all my ideas that worked came from customer insights. So according to me, the best ideas come from observing customers, listening to customers. That's being a customer yourself.
Thank you so much, sir. I think since the past 50 minutes, we've already overstepped our whatever timelines we had. You answered all the questions, and I literally sort of came on a journey from 2000 to now what we see Naukri as a portal. But again, thank you so much, sir. On behalf of all the viewers who are here, I believe that all of us would have taken down our notes and everything else as well. And again, a huge thank you for doing this for all the people, all the entrepreneurs, innovators, and creators, startup founders who are watching this video. And for you as well, we'll be coming back with more such sessions with more industry stalwarts, just like sir, for shedding more light and disseminating more learnings from the ecosystem. And until then, if anything that you want to write to us, we'll also send out a link where you can write more questions. And I hope that we touch base on all questions and all whatever you poured in. And a huge thank you for joining in. And with that, we'll be closing the session. And again, a huge
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.